You're tuned in to The Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This episode is supported by the wonderful creators of Gratitude Plus app, the app that helps you cultivate a daily practice of gratitude. What are you grateful for today? You can download the app now at the App Store or by visiting gratitudeplusapp.com/style of business. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in for another wonderful episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria, and today I have somebody that is like a like-minded individual. I'm already excited about this one. For some of you guys who know, I have a PR publicity background and all that other good stuff. And I'm actually speaking with somebody who has a similar background. And she's going to be coming in sharing with us little tidbits of information that she has learned in her career and the things that she's working on. All types of good things in terms of marketing. So if you guys have any products and services that you're pushing right now, you definitely want to tune in for this conversation. It's going to be good. It's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. I'm already clapping. I'm speaking to Simone McDowell. What's up, Simone? How are you doing? She is a public relations professional. And like I said earlier, she's just going to be jumping in and having a conversation in regards to marketing, communication, and content creation. All right, let's do it.
I'm excited. I love your excitement. It's making me even more excited.
Hey, let's do it, girl. I try to stay excited. So that's great. So that's great. All right, so let me step back. I'll let you give us an introduction, and then we'll roll through.
Okay, so I have been in the PR industry for about a little less than 2 decades. And it's interesting the changes that PR has made since, me deciding that I wanted to do PR. But I've done a lot of different types of PR, and I've worked in a lot of different industries. So I've worked in pretty much all of the industries imaginable. I've done nonprofit, agency, government, healthcare, higher ed. And so in those roles, it's not just media relations, it runs the gamut of what PR is, which I'm sure we'll get into all of the details of that. But I've enjoyed every moment, I've enjoyed every job that I've had. I've been able to learn, but also give back. And it's just been fun. It's nice when you can find something that you actually enjoy doing for your work.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm with you on that. I mean, I cannot wait till we get into the actual industries, because there's some that are a little bit boring when it comes to structuring stories. But you have the other brands and, different sectors or different industries rather that are a little bit more exciting. So we'll get into that. But I guess let's start by talking a little bit about marketing and communications. Basically, just give us a little blurb on what that entails. If you want to be general, that's fine as well. Because I know sometimes when people say marketing and communications, you have no idea what that is. There's so many things that go on in that.
I agree. I would say, for PR and communications, when they're kind of coupled together, I think of just being able to protect, enhance, and build your organization's brand, reputation through different outlets. So whether that's social media, through traditional media, through community, whether you're doing community events or you're working with community members. It's just that way that people hear about whatever the name of your organization is and knows it, but also can resonate with it, whether it's through the products or through the mission.
Right. Good stuff. All right. And let's get into your career. I know you've been in PR for a while, and there's different areas of specialization and interest areas. So let's start with just kind of discussing where you started and where you are now.
Well, it's so funny. The way that I got into PR is I knew that I wanted to be in communications in some way. I think I initially was like, I'm going to be a writer, because I love to write. But then the thought of just being at my desk, solo, kind of just writing, really wasn't appeasing to me for 24/7.
Yeah.
And so I remember being the nerd that I am, I went to our career center,
I hear
I
you.
went to our career center at college, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody, kind of figure this out. And I looked at our, because this is how old it was. I went to it was like a bulletin board of all of our internships, notices, and all of this. And I remember seeing a PR internship, and I was like, read the description, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I was like, okay. And that's the, trajectory that I went on since then. I started at that internship, continued to have a few more internships after that, decided to make it my major, officially, after doing my, main classes, and even went back and got my master's in management and the focus on PR. And so that's kind of, the beginning of it, of how I even knew that's what I wanted to do. And I just started working, looking at different types of PR, what types of industries that I wanted to be in. And I think as my career grew and changed, I kind of felt like I didn't want to be stuck in, for lack of a better word, a particular industry.
Yeah.
Because I have so many different passions, and I have so many different things that I enjoy, that I wanted to be able to lend my skills to all of those things. I love being able to work with an organization that has a mission that gives back to the community and that has some kind of tangible results. And so that's what kind of put me in, nonprofit world for, over 8 years. Then I wanted to kind of explore a little bit more entertainment, and so I started working for a television network. And so it just kind of, depended on me having the passion for the industry, basically. Whatever industry that was, I needed to be able to have the passion to be able to promote them. And so that's how I got into different industries. And I think also with the connections that I made, there were individuals that saw that, and then they kind of wanted me to, come and chat with them and help their organization and kind of, allow me to continue to grow with them as well. So that's kind of where all the industries came from. And I don't think, anyone listening, I don't think, it's a detriment to be able to have those different types of industries in your background. I wondered that for a while, and I think there's always the case that you can bring something new to the table to someone that, or an organization, because you're coming with a new perspective. Everyone might be thinking, oh, well, I know about this. This is healthcare. This is my beat. This is my thing. But someone coming from a television network, or someone coming from, any other industry, maybe a for-profit, and then they're coming into that as a new perspective, a new set of eyes, a new way of looking at things. And I always think that's good to kind of shake things up as well.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, because I know, with my own experience, the biggest thing is when you have those projects that are a different angle from what you're used to working on, you feel like there's always this learning curve, So say, for instance, my background, I know you mentioned entertainment, and then maybe you get something that is more healthcare based, So it's speak to us a bit about how you're able to take your skill set and the foundation of what you know as a PR professional, and really just have those different skill sets run across the board to where it doesn't intimidate you. So you've done entertainment, you've done healthcare. There's been other areas of expertise as well. So how are you able to really take those skills and capitalize off of them?
Well, I think one of the key things in PR is you have certain skills that are your foundational skills that I feel like can translate to different industries. But one key piece that I think is more of a soft skill than a hard skill is being able to connect and cultivate your relationship. And I think that has actually helped me along the way, because I'm willing to ask those questions. I'm willing to, figure it out. I love to read. going back to my nerd reference. But I love, the research and reading about an industry. And like I said before, I still have to have a passion for the industry. So maybe I've volunteered, maybe I've read something about them, maybe it's just an organization I follow. So there's still that passion that I have for them, even if I hadn't worked for them. And so then when I get the opportunity to work for them, that allows me to let that creativity and passion that I had as just an individual be able to flourish within the organization. And so I think it's key to, be able to work with individuals that you feel comfortable asking questions, of, shadowing, but learning all you can book-wise beforehand, because there's nothing like being there. It's nothing like being in action. It's kind of like college. We read all the textbooks, but then we have to go out in real life and actually do the work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. You have to have the experience. And speaking of experience, now when I know you started out, you did the bulletin board, and that kind of gave you an end on what you wanted to do. Like who was like the go-to person? Because like when you're an athlete, you maybe aspire to be the next Serena Williams or whoever it is, right? But when it comes to PR, like these little specialized areas, did you have anybody that you looked to, or anybody that guided you to kind of help you to, hone your craft?
Well, I loved Terry Williams. She was a PR maven from back in the day, and she wrote a book. It wasn't on PR, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was just about almost like how you treat people kind of thing. But she created like this whole brand. She had all these. She was like a PR powerhouse, basically. And she had like an all-star, client roster and all of these things. So I always felt like I looked up to her, and like the way that she handled herself and her, her agency, because she had her own agency. And then I'm from the DMV area, and there was a PR pro who's now since passed away, Ophil Dukes, and he ran Beepers in the DC area, which is Black Public Relations Society. And I just felt there were just those individuals that I kind of looked up to, African American, doing the same thing I was doing. And I just felt like, okay, I have someone, to kind of look up to that has that kind of feel. There's a certain way that I knew that I wanted my career to go and be, and how I wanted to be in the industry. Yeah. And I felt like they represented the industry well. And I think along the way, I've met so many other individuals too, and just whether it's a reason, a season, have held me along in my career. It could be a random conversation in an elevator. It could be mentorship for years. So I would say those two, but I think there's definitely been people along the way as well.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Let's talk about public relations in terms of what is it, like what that is. And I also want to go into basically the benefit of it, because I know a lot of times when it comes to PR, a lot of people say that they need it, they want it, but they really don't understand the purpose of it, how it benefits a company, and then how to really capitalize off of, a PR campaign, so to speak. So if let's talk about that a bit, and then we'll move on from there.
I think a lot of people, and I think maybe it's changing a little bit now. I'm not even sure, but I think when people they hear the word public relations, they have a very simplistic view of it, like, oh, PR, public relations, just, dealing with the public.
Yeah.
And while that's a part of it, that just doesn't really give the whole industry, the whole area justice, I also think, if you can kind of remember back to Samantha and Sex and the City, people think like, oh, it's this kind of sexy, where you're just always enjoying yourself and hanging out and doing, going to and doing fabulous events.
Yeah.
And it's not always that either. I think it can be a mix of all those things, but I think for me, being a good PR person is being behind the scenes. I'm the person that, allows, this, giving the talking points to this person, or, allowing other people that I may have written for or doing the event for to shine. So it's me kind of, being that background, making sure everything goes smoothly. Everyone's kind of on the X marks the spot. The timeline is going, to the T. Everyone knows where they're going, what they're saying, and it's on point. So I kind of feel like that's what I think of, and I think that's what people want. Ideally, I think that there have been so many individuals that say they can do PR. And they may have an idea of it or a certain aspect of it that they can do. But I think it's always good to be able to get a well-rounded PR person that can kind of do the crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And unless, you want it for a particular thing. If you want an event planner, or PR person that does events, then great. But then you can't expect them to, or don't be surprised if they can't do the other aspects of PR.
Right, yeah.
Like crisis communication, or, have your reputation managed, or, doing the community, side of things. Because there are so many different aspects of it, and it's not just writing a press release, and it's also just not throwing out, the word brand every 3 minutes.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh, preach. Preach on that. Hey, you know what? That was, you have just led us right into this next section, which is branding. So it's, we have to talk about this stuff. A lot of times there's things that, it's especially when it comes to the things that we don't know, so we just kind of follow in with what everybody else saying. Brand positioning is, what does it mean to have, what's your brand voice? What does it mean to have a brand? And to me, that's part of the storytelling aspect that the PR campaign should kind of, stem from, because you have to understand your brand in order to present the story, right? So,
I agree.
So I love that you said, hey, just don't say, branding, because that's big right now. So since you brought it up, I'm gonna put this on you. Yeah. I'm putting this on you, Simone. Since you brought this up, let's talk about branding for a bit. How important is brand positioning? And just back to what you were mentioning too, like that PR is not just branding. So just give us the rundown on whatever you have to offer.
Okay. Well, I think, branding is people knowing who you are, supporting your organization or your product or yourself, if you're, you consider yourself the brand. And I think, it's one of those words that's really gotten very popularized. I think back in the day, we didn't even know we were creating a brand, if it was an individual,
Yeah.
The brand to me is what an individual is and does, and I feel like the personality, the person kind of comes first, and then the brand is just there. Now I think people are creating the brand, and then the person's there. Mm-hmm. If you want to actually be a person, some people, the brand is all that matters. There's so many people that look a certain way, doing a certain thing, but maybe that's not really who they are. Maybe we're surprised when you get a glimpse behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And I think that could be, I don't know how you can, it's just a dual world that's just very interesting. But for organizations that are actually kind of, creating it in a way where, it's very much more structured and streamlined. I think with, definitely big products, they've gone through this process of trying to figure out, okay, this is my target audience. knowing that target audience, how am I going to get my product to them? And that's knowing their demographics, and knowing, where, and that includes like age, race, where they shop, all those things. So then they get their brand, whether that's their product or whatever, or have an experience with their product at wherever these individuals are. So I think it's also placement of where they are. I think it's wording, making sure your message is on point to your target audience. And I think there's so many other pieces that I think help to create the brand for the individual. Then that creates a loyal customer.
That's right, yeah.
So a lot of times people are going to be more loyal to a brand or individual that they feel that they can trust, regardless of the new product that might come out, the price. And I think sometimes that is connected to what we call influencers. Because if there's an influencer that's promoting a brand, then that might be the connection. But I think, that old school way was much more putting all the different pieces together for the person to then have an experience with the brand. And now it's kind of shifting where a lot of times it's an individual pushing a brand or pushing themselves for a certain group of people that may or may not be actually who they are,
Yeah.
So that's it's an interesting kind of dynamic, and it can be a little confusing, but that's kind of my take on branding. I feel like there's that traditional branding, and then there's this like new age influencer kind of piece too.
Yeah, I totally agree. The new age to me means, branding, which the consumer, right? So you have the consumer dollars that really, to me, it kind of dictates what the brand will look like, maybe, something, so I think that they customize it to fit whatever the brand experience is to be, so that they can, market to those customers. So anyway, we could be on the line we'll have to talk about that. we'll talk about that later, because I'm doing some internal thinking, and we have this podcast going. So let me step off of that, and let me get back to the next thing that I want to talk about with you is entrepreneurship, because I know that you have done consulting as well. So I want to kind of pick your brain a bit on, what other things do you enjoy in regards to the PR, because I know there's a storytelling component. You're helping people to share their stories. You mentioned your experience in nonprofit. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about, what you enjoy most about your career. And then also tell us what defines success for you.
There's so many different things that I like. I'd say overall, what I like, but then also what inspires me is the impact that it will have on others, whatever I'm doing in PR. Whether that is media relations and getting someone's story out about, how they now are a new homeowner, or now, because I've worked in so many industries, it's been interesting to talk to people that are, heart survivors, or stroke survivors, kind of getting that human interest story out to people, because I think I do love backing up my information with statistics, but I think when reaching out to individuals, they're going to see themselves in some stories where they might not see themselves in a statistic. But while those things are very important, it's what's going to connect with the person that we're trying to reach, to be able to allow them to make a decision to do something different, whether that's check their blood pressure or take a financial class. So I say, media relations is a part of that, but I think also that community relations, I think it's, blasting it out on social media once the story runs. So I think there's just so many different pieces, that I enjoy. And I also think, it inspires me to see the story come out, the action around what people that have read something or seen something or saw something posted take from that, and hopefully the hope that they have around some of our projects and messaging and want to be able to help us to continue to do those kinds of things with new individuals and existing clients too.
That is perfect. And speaking of just kind of working with the different clients, what has been the most challenging for you, in terms of your career when you're putting together these campaigns?
I think the most challenging thing is not being able to get the information that you need. And I think sometimes that for me connects with maybe crisis communication. Maybe there's a story that someone in the organization doesn't want to tell, whatever that may be, and not being able to get that information, or it taking a long time to get that information when there's a crisis or there's something going on, time is of the essence. So I would say that's probably been the most challenging. And I think just overall, for me, what's challenging is people not really getting what PR is, people not really getting what public relations is, or not really giving it, for lack of a better phrase, the respect that it deserves. I think because people see it around so much, or people talk about doing it so much, that maybe don't have the theories and the schooling and even if it's the school of hard knocks, certain, things that you've done to be able to build your credibility to be able to do it. I think that kind of hurts the reputation of the industry when people kind of come across someone that really didn't back out what they said they can do, but they said they could, pull in all these people or, do all this stuff. So I think that's a challenge and something that I just think that's a challenge overall for our industry.
For the industry. That's perfect. Well, we are certainly glad to have had you to come in and clarify and clean up some of the verbiage around, PR in general, because there's so many different components of it with the, publicity and then the press release, which are actually tools, but a lot of people would think that, perhaps a press release is the main part of PR, but, and like you said,
I've had plenty of people say, oh, let's do a press release on it.
Right,
and
yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean now? Where is this going to go? What is this newsworthy? We can talk all day on this stuff. But
my goodness,
yeah. So.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll have to plan a part 2 here in a bit. But I tell you what, before you leave, I want you to, maybe there's an aspiring PR professional that's listening, or anybody else is just interested in learning more about this industry. Can you leave us with some words of encouragement?
Yes. Don't ever let anyone say that you can't do what you want to do. You are capable of doing anything that you want to do. And the only thing is that you have to know it for yourself, because there's a lot of individuals out here that may not have the best intentions for you to be able to reach your goals. But as long as you have that within yourself, that's really what matters most. And if anybody's interested in reaching out to me, I am on LinkedIn, and it's under my name, Simone McDowell. And just say that you caught my podcast and on SOB, and feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect and answer any additional PR questions for you. And I do post pretty regularly. Every week or two, I'll put something up about leadership or about public relations, branding, all that good stuff. So it's a good resource as well. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It has been a joy. Yeah, definitely. We will definitely have to have you back. And also, just for the audience, too, I know you mentioned we can reach you on LinkedIn. Are you also taking any projects? Are you doing some side consulting? Anything else that you want to?
I always say I'm open to.
What types of projects?
Opportunities.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and with all the different industries I've been in, I could pretty much do any type of project. I love the writing aspect of PR, so that would kind of be a fun thing to be able to work on. But I'm open, so if there's someone listening that has a project that they're looking for someone for, would love to have an exploratory call, and we can go from there. And my email is my first name and last name @gmail.com if anybody wants to reach out.
All right, perfect, guys. So news that you all can use. Simone, it has been wonderful having you on the podcast. We definitely enjoyed speaking to you and the information that you shared. So we will be catching up with you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter @KEETRIA.